The Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. The Pharisees went and plotted to entrap Jesus in what he said. So they sent their disciples to him, along with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere, and teach the way of God in accordance with truth, and show deference to no one. For you do not regard people with partiality. Tell us then, what do you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, "Why are you putting me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the tax." And they brought him a denarius. Then Jesus said to them, "Whose head is this, and whose title?" They answered, "Caesar's." Then Jesus said to them, "Give therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." When they heard this, they were amazed, and they left Jesus and went away. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. I will admit it's a trick question. Are you more loyal to your faith or more loyal to your country? Now, Jesus gets a lot of trick questions. Questions like, is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor, to Caesar, or not? Sometimes we wish Jesus would just answer the question instead of answer the question with another question. In these complicated and complex times, in these days of heartache and horror, in these days of fear and anger, I long for simpler times, without war, without violence, without political strife. On one hand, though, I'm reminded how, despite these current wars, we are living in one of the most peaceful times in human history. And yet, the recent barbaric killings take our breath away. The takeaway for me, human conflict and devastating war seem to be built into the human condition. And this is a hard reality to face. You'd hope that with our technological, psychological, medical advances, we as human beings would have evolved more. So are you more loyal to your country or to your faith? Today's gospel could lead to church-state questions like whether we are a Christian nation, whether mosques and synagogues and churches should display an American flag in their sanctuaries, whether taking a knee during the national anthem disrespects our country, and when free speech tumbles into hate speech. The gospel hints at the relation between religion and politics, religion and money, high on the controversy list for preachers. Like the Pharisees trying to trap Jesus, maybe listeners to this text all over the world, all over this country, will try to trap their preacher this morning. I wondered if I should be at the back of the church this morning with a sign, "Take a number," so that you could register whatever complaints you might have. It all begins with a coin. Now, do people carry coins in their pockets anymore? Raise your hand if you have coins in your pockets. A few. Our coins say, "In God we trust." Does that make us a religious or Christian nation? A complex question. And whose heads, whose faces are on those coins? I know that I would not pass that test. But I do know, in Jesus' day, the coins had an image of the emperor Caesar on them. Caesar was considered divine, a god, and Mosaic law said that graven imagers were idolatrous. Even holding a coin with the image was blasphemous. So how ironic that the Pharisees are the ones who have coins in their pocket, so to speak. Now, the religious authorities, they're the ones in Jesus' face, plotting how to trap him. After all, Jesus is challenging authority in politics and religion. And this will lead to his arrest. This will lead to his eventual death. Let's turn to Blessed Martin Luther. At one point, Luther suggested that God works through spiritual means in the church and through temporal means in society, both to maintain peace and civility. Yet there are two sides to a coin, and things may be more complicated than what Luther said, because as you know, both church and government can work for the good, and both religion and government can work for harm. Think back to your impression of Americans in our country, and whether there's this sense for many people that we should have a religious or even a Christian president. Yet in our first reading, God uses Cyrus, a Gentile, a Persian, a pagan, to bring about divine purposes. Cyrus, who doesn't even know the Lord of Israel, is God's anointed. But wait, maybe you might be remembering the last years in this country when some Christians used Cyrus to justify the questionable morals of a recent president. In fact, in 2018, one film about then President Trump has someone pick up a Bible, turn to Isaiah 45, today's passage, and announce that God has anointed Trump to be King Cyrus for our time, to restore crumbling walls from cultural collapse. This leads, my friends, to the complex problem of Christian nationalism. So do you have more faith? Do you have more trust in God or in your country? Or do you just combine them, as some Americans do? This understanding would mean that we are a Christian nation, rooted in Christian values. Many white evangelicals espouse this. And there's more. Usually, Christian nationalists want an authoritarian leader. They want to live in a country with just other Christians. They oppose pluralism, and they're more likely to believe that true patriots may need to resort to violence to save their country. But wait a minute. The issues of authoritarianism and nationalism, they're not just in this country, are they? Consider how they are part of global realities that we hear about day by day. For example, outrage over barbaric killings on one side has led to retaliation with equal inhumanity on the other. In other words, we become what we hate. Whose image is on the coin? Caesar, representing an authoritarian regime. In Jesus' day, one that forced the people to live under Roman occupation. Give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. What might that mean for our loyalties? What does that mean for our allegiances? Or to quote a line from our last hymn, how amid a history of oppression do we remain true to our God and true to our native land? I have more questions than answers for you today, things for us all to ponder, like how do we give to God the things that are God's? What are the idols we worship today? In what or whom do we place our ultimate trust? And how does our faith compel us to reflect on the ways we act, the ways we use our time, our money, our passions, the way we vote? Now, this coin in the gospel may have had the head of Caesar on it, yet we are created in the divine image. We are stamped with God's unconditional grace. We are coined to be bearers of mercy. And in our war-torn world, this changes everything. Are you more loyal to faith or to country? To being Muslim, Christian, Jewish, American, Palestinian, Israeli, Ukrainian, Russian? Could it be that our deeper loyalty is to the humanity of the other person created in the divine image? If our national origin, if our faith leads us to unspeakable acts of hatred, massacre, violence, surely it is not of God. It's a trick question. Yes, we can love our country. Yes, we can love God. Yes, we can be loyal to our faith. But don't just look at the face on the coin. Look at the faces that are dying, the faces that are suffering, the faces filled with worry and fear. Maybe that countercultural way of being is a reason that this community, that we come together every Sunday to a place that we believe helps us to understand how walls come down, where we learn how to look at and see faces in radical new ways, even the faces of our enemies, even those who look at religion, even those who look at politics and our world or our country in ways contrary to ours. This is hard work, and this is why we need community. For when life is complicated, when life is anything but simple, when there are so many unanswered questions with so much uncertainty, it is not only what we give to God, but what God showers on us: mercy. What we need more than anything, mercy. The hope for our wounded world is mercy. Amen.